Hi there. Today we're talking about powers of monomials. So just to back up real quick, yesterday when we were working on it, we had like 5 squared times 5 to the 4th. If we were multiplying things of the same base, we would simply add those up, right? We'd do 5 to the base is 5, and then we'd add 2 and 4 together to give me 5 to the 6. Well, today we're talking about powers of a monomial, which means instead of having 5 squared times 5 to the 4th, maybe we have something more like 5 squared, and that whole thing is to the 4th power. And that's different, because if you rewrite that, what you're really saying is this is 5 squared times 5 squared times 5 squared times 5 squared, right? So that's what that looks like if you were to multiply that out. That's very different than what we had before. Okay, that square is still floating through everything. So what's going to happen here is instead of adding the exponents, which we added them here because the spaces were the same, we're actually going to take those exponents, and what we're going to do with those is we're going to multiply them together. So it becomes a multiplication thing. So 5 squared to the 4th power means my base stays the same, and 2 times 4 becomes 8. Okay? And that's what's going to happen there. Now, again, if you think of it this way, if I was to add this up, how would this add up? The base stays the same here. There's 5. And I have 2, 4, 6, 8. So you can see it works out the same, but what I'm really just doing, just simply, is I'm multiplying this exponent times what the next power is going to be. And that's how that works out. So in this case here, to simplify one example, 5 to the 3rd to the 6th power, I'm going to keep the base the same and then multiply the powers. 3 times 6 is 18, and leave it like that. So that's the first rule here. Power of power, to find the power of a power, multiply the exponents. The second one here says the power of a product. To find the power of a product, find the power of each factor and multiply. And that's what example 2 is. It says, okay, you have negative 3 m squared into the 4th, and all of that is to the 3rd power. And essentially what they're wanting to do is to split them apart. So you're going to put the 3rd with that one, to the 3rd with that one, and to the 3rd with that one. So you end up with negative 3 cubed times m, and this is 2 times 3, 2 times 3, times n, and this is 4 times 3. And when you rewrite all that, you end up with negative 3 times 3, right, is negative 27. M to the 6, there's your 6 there, and n to the 12th there. So just gotta, you're going to take that power and you're going to put it with each factor. So multiply it by each part. So don't leave a part out, okay? The coefficient gets the factor, this gets it, every part gets it. Just be careful, make sure you get them all, and then watch your sign. Okay, let's get a couple examples here. So for this first one, we have 4 to the 3rd to the 5th power. This is simply 4 to the 3 times 5, which is 4 to the 15th. No problem there, right? Same for this one. 2 times 7 is 14, so you have 4 to the 14th power. 2 times 4 is 8, so 9 to the 8th power there. So those are pretty straightforward, right? No problem with a variable. K, 4 times 2 is 8. It's when you start getting this stuff that it gets a little bit weird. Like suddenly we jump from basic to, oh no, okay? So let's do this one part at a time. First of all, this is 6 to the 3rd squared. So let's multiply those together. Let's multiply that and that to get that part. So this becomes 6 to the 3 times 2 is 6. 6 power. And this is still squared here. So now I'm going to multiply that part. 6 times 2 is 12. So I get 6 to the 12th power. Okay, so it's not too bad if you break it apart. Same idea here. We have 2 times 2 is 4, so we have 3 to the 4th power times that 3 out there, and 4 times 3 is 12, so it's 3 to the 12th. Number 7 is like the example we did before. I wanted to do the 5th power for each one of these, right? So 5 to the 5th power times q, the 4 times 5, times r, 2 times 5. Okay, 5 times 5 is 25, times 5 is 125, times another 5 is 625 times another 5 is 3,125. That's lovely. Q, 4 times 5 is 20, and R, 2 times 5 is 10. That's kind of the idea there. Okay, let's do one more like that. Let's do this one here. Okay, we're going to put that squared with every one of these things, right? So we have 7 squared times A, 4 times 2, times B, 3 times 2, times C, 7 times 2. Why times 2? Because the exponent is 2. We multiply them together. So this is to the first power, so 1 times 2 is 2. All right, so 7 squared is 49. 4 times 2 is 8. 3 times 2 is 6. And 7 times 2 is 14. And you get something crazy like that. All right, and you do the same thing with some negative numbers down over here, no problem, and as well as decimals, no problem. You get the idea. Just make sure you're careful when you do your computation. All right, so work on the homework, and we'll come back and check it together in just a few minutes. All right, looking at the odd numbers here. So we have 7 to the 2 times 3 power, which is 7 to the 6th. Here we have 8 to the 3 times 2 power, which equals 8 to the 6th. This one we have a variable, d to the 7 times 6 power, which equals d to the 42nd. For 7 we have h to the 6 times 3 power, which is h to the 18th, right? Pretty straightforward there, just remembering what happens, right? All right, now we get the crazy ones, okay? So 4 to the 3 times 2 power, which is 3 times 2 is 6, and that's going to be squared still. So now we have 6 times 2, which is 12. The next one, I'm going to put the 6 with every part, right? 2 to the 6th power times m to the 5 times 6, 5 times 6, times g to the 11 times 6. 2 to the 6th power, that's the same as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, 16, 32, 64. So 64 there. 5 times 6 is 30, and 11 times 6 is 66. Number 13, going to put that 4 with the 7, with the 5, the 6. So I have 7 to the 4th. A, 5 times 4, times B, 6 times 4. 7 to the 4th, I don't know what that is. Let's do it real quick. 7, 2, 3, 4, 2,401. That seems funny. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, okay. And then A, 5 times 4 is 20. And then B, 6 times 4 is 24. Okay, number 15, we got a 5 going there, so we have negative 3 to the 5th power times W, 3 times 5, times Z, 8 times 5. Okay, so let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is 243. Because it's odd, the number is going to stay negative. And W, 3 times 5 is 15. And then Z, 8 times 5 is 40. I'll leave it just like that. Okay, geometry, express the area. Well, if you don't remember, area is your length times your width, right? So we're going to multiply this times itself. So, which really means what we're doing, we're squaring it. This is like taking this number here and squaring it because it's times itself. So 6 squared times g to the 3 times 2 times h to the 5 times 2. So we end up with 36 times g to the 6 times h to the 10th. Now when it comes to volume, volume is length times width times height, or if it's the same thing, that's going to be the value here cubed. Why? Because it's a cube. So we take 7 c to the 5th d to the 2nd, the whole thing, and we're going to cube it. So we have 7 cubed, 7, 7, 7, 343. And then we multiply here. 5 times 3 is 15. Multiply here. 3 times 2 is 6. All right. That's really it. So just get comfortable working with those. Again, at some point we'll see some negative ones showing up in here as well, so you can do it no problem. All right, see you next time.